Hey guys, I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. Happy March break if you're on March break. Seems to kind of be a little bit crazy right now in my world, and I think it has something to do with full moon that's coming up at the end of the week. I think Friday or on the weekend. So I think it's going to be interesting this weekend. I've had a lot of stuff come up for me, a lot of just kind of old feelings, fear about the future, because the thing is that I've been realizing where I want to go, and basically getting in touch with what I want for me, and what my soul yearns to do, and where I'm keeping myself small, and where I really need to expand and explore in the world, and where I want to go. And there's so much that I want to do, and the thing that really got me thinking about this was a card. I have a deck, I don't have it with me here, but it's basically a card deck, and it's called How Now, and it's about living in the present moment, the now moment. And basically it's a deck, and you just shuffle it, and actually I never even used to shuffle it, I used to just read them every once in a while, but they basically have little exercises to live in the present moment. And the exercise that I read on Friday night, I believe, or Saturday, was that if you take 5 minutes to imagine that you were going to die in a week from now, and you write out a list, basically think about that. What would be on your list of things to do? And that just got me thinking. I didn't physically write out a list, and maybe I still should, but it just got me thinking about, we think that we have all this time to waste, and I feel like in a lot of ways, though I've been very busy over the past few years, in a lot of ways I've been keeping myself small. In a lot of ways I haven't had the courage to go and do what I really want to do, and this is just a big thing to realize, and it makes me think about a lot of my friendships and relationships, and even my family relationships, and how the dynamics are going to change, and there's just a lot of fear surrounding that. So it's been a pretty intense weekend for me, and I watched Doreen Virtue's video for this week, and she picked up on a lot of healing happening this week, so there may be a lot of not so fun emotions for us to cope with, but with this awareness we can come together and realize that we're not going through this alone. So she picked up on father healing, mother healing, and I don't remember what the other thing was for this week, but there's just a lot of healing going on, and I think sometimes we don't even realize where things stem from, because you may think, well, that person just sets me off, or that person drives me crazy, and we want to lash out on them. And I've talked about this before, having various soulmates in our lives that come and they basically help us, and we help them whether we know it or not, because we choose to mutually come together before we come into this life. And this is something I talk about all the time, because it's really difficult to deal with sometimes. People think, oh, soulmates, like you just meet a soulmate and it's so perfect, and it's just not the case at all. I mean, sometimes it is so fabulous and you feel so amazing, but there's some times where they mirror things to you, and sometimes they're not even conscious of what they're showing to you. It's like when you interact with a very special soul, they kind of spark something within your being. And sometimes you'll get really pissed off about something they said or they did or how they act towards you, but it makes you realize what you're doing, It makes you realize, hey, wait a second, I don't have any boundaries in that area, or I'm not being very assertive, or I'm being very passive or passive-aggressive, and it just helps you realize where you are in the moment and how you can help yourself and how you can potentially help others, essentially. So, I mean, it's a really big deal to have soulmates in your life, and we do, I believe, have many that we encounter in this life, and they could be friends, they could be romantic interests, they could be family. There's no right or wrong, but no matter what, it's tough sometimes, and I hope people can take time to realize that, but to see through it and to see that this is always here for our growth. And as hard as it is to have someone basically show you what you're putting up with, and maybe what you shouldn't be putting up with, that's a blessing. That's so amazing, because you have to see where you are, and this is all about healing inside too, right? And as I was saying, this could go back to family relationships. Sometimes we're not even conscious of where half of our problems come from, but sometimes it stems from something that happened from when we were a child. And this isn't about blaming our parents either. Things happen for a reason, and sometimes people don't even heal their wounds that they have inside, and they can go their whole lives without healing it. So, if you are lucky enough to have soulmates bring things to your attention in this life, then that's something to really be grateful for. So that's something I just wanted to mention. This week I am going to use the daily guidance from your angels deck, and I'm also going to use the flower therapy deck because, as I say, it's a very gentle deck and I feel like it's a pretty intense week. So I just like to bring those out. So I'm going to do a double reading and see how the messages go together. Whoa, flying out. So anyways, I hope someone out there can understand what I'm trying to say about soulmates. Like, it's such a blessing, and yeah, it's really tough sometimes. It's really, really tough, trust me. And, even if you don't classify people as soulmates, that's fine too. I'm sure you can think of a few people that you've met in this life that you instantly clicked with, and you've learned so much from them about life or about yourself. And those are just what I would call soulmates. So it's really tough, and I feel like, yeah, I just have to deal with a lot of stuff and prepare myself to venture out into the world, to go do everything that I have to do, and things that are going to bring me joy and stuff like this, and I just can't stay stuck in fear. But anyway, we're going to stay focused on this week and not to worry about the future. This is going to be a healing reading to help us cope with this week, and something to bring us together, to remember that we're all going through this stuff, and whether we're conscious of it or not, we're all being affected by so many energies: the sun, the moon, the stars, the asteroids that go by, solar flares. There's obviously pollution in the world, and energy from other people. We're affected by absolutely everything. So this is something that can help people, I hope, anyway, is just these readings. And it's not even about, let's predict the future and try to get control of everything. This is about just trying to ease us through the process. And yeah. So, for the beginning of this week, we have Be Honest with Yourself. And this is so funny because last night I had such a moment, and I just kind of had to let myself be really emotional. And I had to be honest about how I was feeling, and I took time to write it out, which really helped me. I feel a lot better after I got it out. And maybe that will help you as well. But, this kind of goes back to what I was saying, is sometimes we think, oh, that person really ticks me off, they really push my buttons, and we just want to point the finger and blame and say, you make me feel this way, why do you act like that, that drives me nuts, that drives me crazy, and none of those things help. And though those things are helping us to grow and learn, and same to the other person, we're all going through whatever we need to be going through at this very moment. We all have our own paths, and what you think is best for someone may not be best for them. And sometimes you have to let people go for a bit and go maybe to what seems like a dark path to you. But, people have to go and do what they need to do. And it's just the same as if, people were telling you to go do something or not to do something. You know what's best for you inside your soul, right? And you would want people to just let go and to let you do what you need to do. So it goes both ways. And the important thing is to be honest with yourself about what you are feeling. What hurt are you feeling? Because essentially it's not about them. As much as it feels like it is about them, it's not about them. At the end of the day, things are coming up for you to help you. And it's very important to be honest about what you're feeling. And if you're feeling hurt always lies underneath all the anger and all these crazy emotions up here, which is usually what we feel first, and we want to lash out and we just want to go crazy. But underneath all of that anger is always, and fear, underneath all that crazy junk, is always some sort of upset emotion and hurt. So no matter how angry you are about a person or a place or a situation or whatever, underneath that there's a root to it, and it's about trying to find that root. And I'm not saying that we should think about it all day, every day, and try to figure out what that root is. Eventually you will figure out what that root is. And the only way to get to that root of the problem and to start healing it, I don't want to say to solve it, because I don't think it's just solve it and done. I think healing is a process that's never going to end for the rest of our lives. We're always healing and always growing. So we have to just let ourselves feel some really crappy emotions sometimes. And again, I'm not saying that we should wallow in it all the time and focus on it, but you have to allow yourself to feel some pretty shitty things sometimes, just long enough so you can get to the root of what it is and where it stems from. And if you allow yourself to do that, you become vulnerable and you become open. You keep your heart open, and that's when things can grow with other people. In all of your relationships in life, you can only grow from that point. Because if you're staying up here in anger and in judgment and in blaming and fear, and you're just pointing the finger and not looking at what's going on inside of you, if you stay up here on that level and you act out of that level, people don't want to deal with that. And rightfully so, because not everyone has the compassion or the ability to love you in that state. And though we do deserve love in every state, even if we're freaking out, not everyone has the experience, or I don't know, even like the awareness to be able to see through what you're feeling. And some people do, and be grateful for that. Some people could see right through you, right to the hurt, the root of the problem. But not everybody can, and it's not everyone's job to point that out to you. It's very special when someone can, but essentially, we're responsible for ourselves, and it's our responsibility to go from all this anger, fear, nonsense, to go under, to retreat sometimes, and just to allow ourselves to feel whatever it is we're feeling. And as I said, it's not easy, it doesn't feel very nice, it's a really crappy emotion sometimes. But that's the only way that you're ever going to heal anything within you, and that's the only way you're ever going to change your habits and your patterns and change and transform any of your relationships in your life, is if you allow yourself to go there. And to go along with that, we have time to decide. Interesting. Yeah, I just feel like there's so many emotions going on and so many decisions that have to be made for the future. But again, it's not about worrying about the future, it's just about weighing your options and allowing yourself to feel the fear. And this is all about making decisions so you can move forward. And I think being honest with yourself is a decision that you have to make for yourself. And you can't make anybody feel what they need to feel. Nobody can make you feel what you need to feel. And being honest with yourself can be really, really tough, as I'm finding out. And I think sometimes we go on in life and we kind of go on our path and everything's fine for a while. And then all of a sudden, it's like everything comes crashing down and we don't know what to do. And we try to run and we try to hide and we try to do whatever it is we can in our power to get control and to feel powerful, but from such a lacking state. And being honest with yourself is tough. It's tough work, guys. I'm not going to lie. But, you get to decide if you want to be able to look at what's going on inside of you, and if you want to change things in your life for the positive, or if you just want to keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Because things will keep happening over and over and over again until you get it, until you get the hint, until you get the courage to say, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this lesson. I'm done with this situation. I'm done with this whatever it is that isn't working for you. You have to be able to come to that point and be honest with yourself about it, which is tough, but it's so vital, and it's just a part of self-love, really. For the middle of the week, we have innocence. I had a feeling this was going to come up. This is about just being kind of lighthearted about things, because obviously this is really heavy work to be doing. And to see everyone as an innocent being. This is really tough too, because obviously there's a lot of pain in the world, there's a lot of horrible things that happen, and that's kind of how the world is. There's a lot of bad things that happen around the world, whether it's crime or I don't know, there's always a devastation going on in other countries, there's a lot of stuff going on, in other countries, especially like in the Ukraine and stuff like this right now, right? Like, and in the States, I don't know, there's always something going on, especially politically, and it's really tough for people to be able to send love out there. But essentially, if you send light and loving thoughts to the Ukraine or to the United States or to whoever or whatever, wherever, you're just helping the world out so much, instead of what we all typically do, which is just sit here and worry and think, oh no, it's so horrible out there, and we send all of these negative thoughts and, oh my god, that's horrible, who could do such a thing, if I was out there, I would, this blah 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 blah, and we just get so caught up in this negative emotion. You're feeding all of that out there, and that's not helping the situation. So even if you're angry with a person, try to envision them as a child and envision yourself as a child, and understand again that we all have our inner child who still very much exists in us as adults as well. And try to see where people are hurting sometimes. And this is kind of what I was just talking about too. Like, sometimes people won't understand where your pain is coming from, but it could be from your inner child. And people really lash out sometimes, and they get angry, and they act out in hurtful ways, not to always I don't think anyone necessarily is always doing things to purposely hurt people. I think it always stems from within. And that's such an important thing to recognize, and to, just try to see the innocence that does exist in the world, because I know that there's a lot of things that seem like they're not innocent in the world, but there is always an underlying innocence there. So try to see, where this is coming from. And obviously people who are terrorists, or people who are, I don't know, people that commit crimes, like, all these people have issues within themselves that they haven't been able to face, and that's why they act out. And obviously, I'm not saying that's okay, but that's where a lot of it comes from. They have a lot of inner child issues. So anyway, when it comes to things happening globally, politically, always try to send positive thoughts. And even, like I said, if you have like a friendship or a relationship that you're trying to work on, and if you feel anger in any way, try to send positive thoughts as much as possible, because even though it may seem silly, or it may seem like it's not doing anything, it definitely is. Because, as I always say, sending hate and sending negative energy and negative thoughts to them, or to wherever, doesn't help. It just makes things worse, and it slows down the healing process for you as well. So, it's your choice to see. It's your choice to decide this. It's your choice to see the innocence that lies within everyone. And yes, it's really tough to do in certain situations, but, just try to see things from a more loving outlook. And that doesn't mean putting up with abuse or putting up with anything that's, something really unhealthy. But this is about trying to send love, even if it's from afar. Like, even if you have to send positive vibes to someone from afar, that's cool too, and that works, because even if they're not conscious of it, they are feeling it on some energetic level. To go along with innocence, we have chakra clearing. And it says, by clearing your chakras, you open yourself up to profound wisdom. So getting into your body. Notice how all of this stuff is very heady. It's very all up here. It's very thought-oriented. It's really important to feel back into your body. And if you feel negative energy and you let it stew within your body emotionally, you're going to start seeing it appear physically. And that's how a lot of physical illnesses come about. As crazy as that sounds, it definitely happens. And I've been so aware of this lately. When I'm closing my heart off, I tend to sit more like this, and I tend to get, really tense in here, and my lower back as well. Like, it's really hard for me to stay grounded in the moment, because I've been so worried about the future. So my lower back has been thrown out so many times over this past month or so. Is insane. So please be aware of what's going on in your body, because what happens in your body is trying to help you, and it's trying to catch your attention. And if you constantly have a place in your body that's always sore, this is coming up to help you and to say, hey, there's an issue going on in your life that you're not paying attention to. So that's what it's about. That's honestly what it's about. It's that simple. So if you don't know how to clear your chakras, and if you don't know about any of the chakras, look them up. There's 7 main ones. Essentially, there's colors associated with them, so you can envision those colors along your chakra points, and that will help you. Or you can call on Archangel Metatron to clear your chakras out, and he will do so. For the weekend, we have trustworthy guidance. This is interesting. This could be about new ideas coming to you, or just a hunch you have intuitively about anything. This could be career, this could be relationship-wise, this can be absolutely anything. But basically, this is saying to trust whatever it is that you're feeling, to trust your gut, to trust your intuition, that it's safe to do so, and you may all of a sudden get all of this guidance coming to you. And you don't know from where. Essentially, it just kind of hits. Likely on the weekend. Sorry, my video cut out once again. To go along with trustworthy guidance, we have release all anger. How funny is that? That's basically what I'm talking about in this whole video. It says, don't give power to negative words by saying them. Speak from your higher self and make your communications peaceful and loving. This is essentially what I was talking about when I'm saying be honest with yourself, focus on the innocence, to go deeper down from the anger that's up here. Go down, feel the hurt. I know it's not fun. You don't have to linger there forever, but you have to release this anger. And if you're ever going to heal any relationship, it starts with you. And it starts with you, actually. I was like, it starts with me, for me. It starts with you, for you. And that's the only way you can ever heal any friendship, any kind of relationship you have in your life can only heal when you release the anger and when you stop talking negatively to this person, about this person. I'm not saying that you can't address your feelings, but again, when you're going to tell someone something about how you feel, you have to speak from, or it would benefit you to speak from, I feel this, and when you act this way towards me, I end up feeling this. This is how I feel. There's nothing wrong with expressing how you feel. The problem happens, big problems happen, when it goes from that, I feel, and you go to the opposite, which is basically up here in the anger, like the I feel this, pain, whatever, you express it from here, that's the one side. Up here, if you stay up here in the anger, in very surface level, and you try to talk to somebody, or you talk about somebody, they feel it energetically, and basically you're pointing the finger and saying, you, make me feel like this, you blah blah blah, you did this, you do that, blah blah blah. And it gets so messy, and I feel it up here when I even talk about that. You know, I feel the stress in my body, which is ridiculous. And it's just not about blaming people. So you have the power. It's time for you to decide what you want to do. You know, do you want to keep playing it small and blaming people every time you get angry with someone? You know, people are going to bring stuff up for you. This is how life works. You're going to get triggered. Your old past hurts are going to come up. And it's not about blaming people for triggering you, for bringing things up, because they're helping you to grow and to learn. And if you want to help heal yourself, or anybody for that matter, it stems from making that shift. To try to see people as being more innocent. To try to see their inner child. To try to see where we are all one. To see the underlying love that we are. And yes, we're all imperfect human beings. And that's fine. You know, we're made this way for a reason, which makes us perfectly imperfect. But at our core, we're all love. We all stem from the same place. And whether you believe that to be heaven or spirit or source, or whether you don't believe in anything, that's fine. You know, I believe that we all stem from a very loving place. And that is always our core. No matter what comes up in this life, in any situation, that's our core. And no matter what devastating thing is happening around the world, as I said, there's always light and there's always love involved somewhere at the core of whatever is happening. And it's just very, very important to try to shift your way of thinking. And it does matter. Just remember, it does matter what you say to people, what you say about people, what you say about yourself, because all of these things coincide and go together. And they create your future. And that's not something to be stressed out or worried about. This is something to say, okay, this is what I have control over. There's a lot of things that I can't control. There's a lot of things that I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know where things are going to go. And I don't know when the time's going to be right for me to leave town or for me to do whatever. But what I do have control over is how I think about myself, what I say about myself, how I think about others, what I say about others to them and about them. You know, it's always important to be talking positively about people. As I said, whether they're conscious of it or not, they're feeling it. And that's something that's really important, because you can be really hurting somebody and not even really being aware of it. So be, you know, aware of what you're saying and what you're thinking. And if you want a relationship or a friendship of any kind to heal, you kind of have to get to a point where you can step back and recognize that obviously whatever happens is for a reason, that whatever happened was for a reason, whatever will, you know, happen in the future is what's meant to happen. You know, to let go and to get to the bottom root, you know, to go down from this anger controlling place, to go down, to be vulnerable, to be real with people and genuine, and say, listen, this is how I'm feeling, and that's what it is. This is how I'm feeling. Express how you feel, and allow them to express how they feel as well. Because staying up here, as I said, just doesn't help anybody in this anger. And yeah. So it sounds like a really intense week. There's a lot of releasing going on. There's a lot of healing. There's a lot of being honest with yourself, which is really tough work. Trying to see the innocence in yourself and in others. You know, embracing imperfections. It's tough. Be sure to pay attention to what you feel in your body and express how you feel from a loving standpoint, but also from an assertive standpoint where you're not afraid to express how you feel. And try to use I feel as a simple way to start this conversation with someone, if you have to. Instead of, you made me, or you make me, or you whatever. You know, it's not about anything like that. This is always about healing inside and being grateful that we have people that are helping us along our journeys, whether we recognize it right away or not. So I hope that everyone stays as peaceful as possible this week. Please call on any of your angels that you feel guided to call on. And I'm really thinking that writing things out is really going to be a helpful tool to anybody. Whether you write out an email to somebody explaining how you feel, like if you feel like you really have to get something off your chest, then do so if you feel guided to. But even if you just feel like writing something out for yourself, you can do that too. And even that just gets it out of your body. As I said last week, if we get the pain out and we verbalize it in some way or we write it down, it's out of our body. It's no longer lingering. And that just helps us and it helps everyone around us, because when we bottle things in, we start to feel it physically and we just start, you know, getting really, really confused, and our thoughts start to spiral and all of this stuff when we hold in anger. And people feel it energetically, and it, as I said, you know, just kind of slows down the whole healing process. So the best thing you can do is be honest with yourself, to try to see the innocence and perfection in your imperfections and in others as well. To trust whatever guidance comes through to you this week, especially on the weekend, and, you know, to stay focused on releasing the anger, to clearing out your body, to feeling into your body, and just realize what you do have control over, which is your thoughts and your actions, and you get to choose the intention, and you get to choose if you want to, you know, send someone some light and some loving vibes, and just to even envision some nice white light or a purple protection light or like a golden, I don't know, you can like any color that resonates with you or that you feel you should send to somebody, send it. And I'm telling you, they'll feel it. Have a wonderful week, everyone. I hope you have a great March break, and I'll see you next week.